Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I want to take a look at a title for God that you've probably heard before, the Ancient of Days. I think most people have run across it at some point, but they simply haven't paid too much attention to what it actually implies. Me, on the other hand, I find this title very profound. It carries a deep, heavy meaning attached to it once you understand the context. So, in this video, I want to focus on what it actually means and why the prophet Daniel chose to describe God with that specific title, and why it appears right in the middle of his intense vision of the four beasts. Now, to really get this, you have to put yourself in Daniel's shoes. If you were in his situation, you would probably end up feeling the exact same way he did. Daniel was taken from his home when he was just a teenager, when Nebuchadnezzar's forces besieged Jerusalem. They destroyed the city and burned Solomon's temple, the physical place where God's presence dwelt on the earth, straight to the ground. He was dragged thousands of miles away to Babylon, and as you know about the Babylon, everything built there was made to demonstrate raw power. It pushed its authority right into your face, as if to say, hey, look at us, we are supreme, and we will rule forever. By the time Daniel recorded this vision, he was an old man in his 70s probably. He had lived in the heart of the Babylonian Empire, serving in its government for nearly his entire life, thousands of miles away from his home. He had watched empires rise and fall, and now he was watching a new king named Belshazzar take power, while the Persian army was closing in on the borders. It was during the first year of Belshazzar's reign that Daniel saw a dream. Four massive, terrifying beasts emerging from a stormy sea, and they represented human kingdoms and dictators and rulers that would rise from the earth. But right in the middle of all the terror and chaos, Daniel looks up and sees the courtroom of heavens. So yeah, in the Daniel chapter 7, verses 9 through 14, we read, As I looked, thrones were placed, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was fiery flames, its wheels were burning fire. A stream of fire issued and came out from before him. 1,000,000 served him, 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court sat in judgment, and the books were opened. I looked then, because of the sound of the great words that the horn was speaking, and as I looked, the beast was killed, and its body destroyed, and given over to be burned with fire. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but their lives were prolonged for a season and at a time. I saw it in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven there came like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. So, as you can see, Daniel isn't calling God an old man here. Basically, in the original Aramaic language, the phrase used is Atik Yamin. It literally points to the one who existed before the time began, one who came before all things, who is far beyond any earthly king or ruler, and who will still be sitting on his throne long after every human empire has turned to dust. And this is what actually happened in the history. Rulers like Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar thought they were supreme. But God was there long before Babylon was even a thought, and he was there when it fell. This title brought absolute shame on human pride. In fact, on the very night Belshazzar held an arrogant feast using sacred temple cups, the Persians diverted the river, invaded the city under the cover of darkness, and Belshazzar was killed. Babylon fell in a single night. Then the title Ancient of Days tells us something crucial about God's character. He is totally unbothered by humans and human chaos. He is eternal, he sits in final judgment, and he remains in complete control even when the world feels like it's spinning out of control. And then there is another detail in this chapter that we cannot ignore: the Son of Man. Daniel sees someone who looks like a human coming on the clouds of heaven. And in the Old Testament, riding on the clouds is something that only God himself does. Yet this figure approaches the Ancient of Days and receives everlasting, indestructible authority over every nation and language. 500 years later, when Jesus stood trial before the high priest and was asked who he was, he quoted this exact scene in Daniel 7. He identified himself as the Son of Man, riding on the clouds. Understanding the Ancient of Days isn't just about old prophecy, it reveals who holds the final authority over history. Anyways guys, I pray for wisdom over your lives and that the Lord protects you and keeps you safe. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing, because I plan to keep making more content and improving quality over time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.